Well, sir, it's late afternoon as our scene opens now, and here in the living room of the small house halfway up in the next block, we find Mrs. Victor Gook and young Mr. Rush Gook. The latter is seated on the davenport, industriously plying needle and thread to the ripped seam of an indoor baseball. His mother, who has just this moment arrived home from a downtown shopping expedition, stands beside the library table gazing dangerously at an object on top. And she's saying,
"What on earth's this?"
Christmas card sample book.
Where'd it come from?
Ain't it yours?
Mine?
I thought one of your Christmas card salesmen left it. Miss Harris or Miss Wheeler or Miss Scott or
Is Gav home?
Uh-huh, upstairs.
What doing?
Changing clothes. He's taking supper with Mr. Buller at the Butler House Hotel this evening.
Big? He must have brought this.
Well, I certainly didn't.
Hi, kiddo. Be right down.
Now, who in the name of Detroit, Michigan is trying to sell us Christmas cards?
I haven't the slightest idea.
I thought it was about time somebody started putting the pressure on again. Been a long, long lull. Christmas card people haven't bothered us for over a month. But when they start, they really start. Mr. Erickson buttonholed me this noon, and just now I found a postal card from Aunt Bess in the mailbox.
Christmas greetings?
Both of them. Never rains but it pours. Tomorrow, probably Miss Wheeler and Miss Scott and Miss Harris and the rest of the Christmas card tribe will come around. Gov brought this sample book home, huh?
I guess he must have, if you didn't.
Oh, person gets so tired of this business.
Did Horseshoe Nail tell you my plans for this evening, Sadie?
Yeah.
I'm dining in the fashionable purple room of the Butler House Hotel as a guest of Mr. Buller.
He kind of left you and me out in the cold. We don't get to take nourishment out in high society. We have to stay home and eat in the kitchen.
Buller arrived on the 3:45. Broke down, offered to set me up to dinner at the Butler House. I telephoned you from the office to tell you to cook for just you and Cowpasture, but nobody answered. This necktie go okay with this suit?
Whose sample book?
Buller's.
Is he in the Christmas card business?
His little niece's.
And we're supposed to patronize his little niece?
That's the general idea. His little niece is the apple of his eye. I was asked to bring that catalog home and submit it to your inspection.
Rush, out in the dining room on the buffet. Go fetch Aunt Bess's postal card.
Yeah.
This necktie go okay with this suit, kiddo? I wish to dazzle the beautiful girls in the purple room tonight. I want to see them nudge each other and whisper excitedly about the handsome man with the sad eyes who so elegantly butters his bread and so delicately eats corn on the cob.
Your collar's all squeegeed funny in the back.
Really? I'll adjust it forthwith.
Well, you going to buy Christmas cards off in Buller?
It might be a very wise procedure. Buller's a pretty important man in my firm, and it behooves me to keep him happy. Yes, I think I'd best play
Read
ball.
that out loud, Rush.
Okay.
Listen to this.
Tidings from Carberry, huh?
Yes.
Dear Sister and all, thought I would write and see how you are feeling. We are fine, and Waller's kneecap has let up considerable on the twinges. I wrote you so recent, there's really nothing new I've got on my mind to say. But I thought, here it is June, and maybe I better hurry up and remind you that I'm still head of the Christmas card committee for the church. I'm mailing you our sample book, and you should get it soon. Well, that was all. Write when you can. Love to Victor and Rush. Bess.
I found it in the mailbox when I got home just now.
Huh.
And on top of that, our beautiful landlord buttonholed me today.
Christmas card?
Yes, Christmas cards.
Huh.
Like I was just saying to Rush here, never rains but it pours. The darn Christmas card people have laid off on us for a month, but it's just been the lull before the storm. When they strike all at once like a pack of wolves. Not that Bess is any pack of wolves, of course, but it just seems like everybody and their brother jumps out of a clear sky. Yeah, I recognize the catalog. The salesman sells enough Christmas cards that they put his name in his hat with gold letters.
Also, they give him an hour's free parking space. We will park your automobile for a period of 60 minutes in the downtown section of Toledo, Ohio, absolutely free.
Many, many, many times I've listened to that. Are you going to patronize Buller?
I don't see how I can gracefully refuse. He dotes on that little niece of his.
Well, I dote on this little sister of mine. I dote on this little landlord of mine. I dote on this little friend of mine. I dote on the little garbage man of mine. I dote on all these little neighbors of mine. They all sell Christmas cards, the whole caboodle. Can we buy from all of them?
Well, the problem don't strike me as being so enormous, say.
Don't it?
No.
Hey, some of these are familiar. Merry Christmas, you flat-footed ox. What's old Santa Claus going to put in your socks? If I had a face like yours, I'd go jump in the lake. Your brother's a half-wit. Your uncle's a fake.
All through the year, spring, summer, fall, and winter, we have to go through the same darn nonsense. Person gets so tired of it.
Here's another old favorite. Slap me in the face with a wreath of holly. Give me a kiss and let's be jolly. The Yuletide season is full of fun. If you eat any more pudding, you'll weigh 16 ton.
A wistful sentiment, fragile and fugitive.
You determined to buy Christmas cards, often, Buller?
Well, determined is rather a strong word.
Well, Christmas card orders run us around $10 every year. Does Buller's niece being in the business mean we have to whip out another $10 bill?
Old Buller's niece?
I got to buy for Bess, my own sister, and for the church and all. And then there's Mr. Erickson. He's our landlord and has to be rubbed the right way or he'll shortchange us on improvements around the house and stuff. Miss Scott next door will be sore and touchy and mean for months if I don't buy her Christmas cards. And you know how I am about being on the outs with next-door neighbors. And there's Miss Harris across the alley. I owe her favors by the bushel. Can I refuse to buy her Christmas cards? And Miss Wheeler up the street. She feels I ought to be a Christmas card customer of hers because we're both in the thimble. And Mr. Gumpox. He needs the business more than anybody. He's done more odd jobs and run more errands than I could pay him back for in 8 years.
By George, there are angles to this.
Angles by the gallon. Keeps me awake at night thinking about him. And it's also kind of halfway ridiculous. This is summertime. This is June. Why should a person lose sleep over Christmas cards when Christmas is 6 months away?
No.
Well, my heart just sank when I saw that sample card book there on the library table.
You're not very pretty and you're not very smart. But I hope you enjoy the holiday season, and that's a wish straight from the heart.
Funny thing is, the whole crowd represents that same rotten Christmas card company. Mr. Buller, Miss Wheeler, Miss Scott, Mr. Erickson, Bess, Miss Harris, and Mr. Gumpox.
Grandpa Snyder and Hank Gutstock.
Yeah, Grandpa Snyder and Hank Gutstock. The whole gang working for that crazy Toledo, Ohio outfit. Isn't there any other firms that sell Christmas cards?
Sure, but the other firms don't give their salesmen free parking space in Toledo, Ohio, or paste their names in their hat for them.
What was that last idiotic thing you read off?
You're not very pretty and you're not very smart. But I hope you enjoy the holiday season, and that's a wish straight from the heart.
Well, I wouldn't send that to a horse.
Here's a better one. Santa Claus reindeers come over the hill. I think I'll roast a turkey and eat my fill. I look like a baboon, and I got no sense. When you going to pay me the $2 you owe me, George?
Oh.
Well, don't that even rhyme?
No.
Perhaps it has a deep, subtle meaning, a hidden significance of great beauty that don't at first meet the eye.
I suppose.
Say, Rush mentioned Hank Gutstock a minute ago. He's another Christmas card guy you got to patronize, ain't he?
I generally patronize Hank, yeah.
Well, how much worth of Christmas cards you buy off him last year?
The bill, if I recollect correctly, was in the neighborhood of 10 berries.
All right, 10 berries. I spent 10 berries, too. Just for the fun of it, let's figure out what we'd have to spend to patronize everybody we feel like we ought to patronize this year.
Okay. Listen, in Mr. Buller's case, though, let's remember that he holds a lofty position in the Consolidated Kitchenware Company. And when he wants me to do him a favor...
Well, we'll start off with Mr. Buller. Mr. Buller, $10.
It's his niece, you know, that's actually in the business.
No, Mr. Buller's niece, $10.
Hank Gutstock.
Hank Gutstock, $10 more, $20.
And Bess.
$10 more, $30.
Mr. Erickson.
$40.
Miss Harris.
$50.
Miss Scott.
$60.
Miss Wheeler.
$70.
I guess that's all the Christmas cards.
Mr. Gumpox.
Oh, sure.
$80.
God.
Ain't that fine, though? $80. For Christmas cards. And everybody mad at each other. And us having to worry about it in June. Worrying and fretting and stewing about Christmas cards in June.
Here's a pretty good one. During the Yuletide season, we eat lots of goose and cranberry sauce and take chances on getting fat. Get off my foot, you son of a gun, or I'll hit you in the head with this baseball bat.
Which concludes another brief interlude at the small house halfway up in the next block. Well, sir, it's late afternoon as we enter the small house halfway up in the next block now. And here in the living room, we find Mr. and Mrs. Victor Gook and their son, Mr. Rush Gook. The two male members of the family are seated side by side on the davenport. They look vaguely conspiratorial. Sade stands near the library table, eyeing them suspiciously, and she's saying,
I never heard of anything so fishy.
You are unwontedly incredulous, Dr. Sleech.
I'll say I am. Why on earth would Klebergers make you a present of a hat? You certainly didn't explain it satisfactorily.
You skeptical.
I'm skeptical. Rush, did your father slip you a quarter to tell that story?
No.
Look at you laugh.
Well, innocent guys always laugh guilty when they're accused of something. Regular unwritten law.
You were walking down Center Street, huh? And right out of a clear sky, Kleberger's clerk buttonholed you?
I was walking down Center Street on my way to the jewelry store to get Gov's watch.
It was being repaired, Sade. Needed regulating and oiling.
Yes, I heard you two fellas making your arrangements this noon. Go on, Rush. You were walking down Center Street.
When I passed Kleberger's store, one of the clerks was standing in the doorway. He says, "You're the Gook boy, aren't you?" I said I was. "Step inside a minute," he says. "I've got a package for your father." That's absolute truth, ma'am. Cross my heart and hope to die, eat a banana and holler hi.
Mighty darn funny.
Clerk say anything else, Ashtray?
He says, "This is a hat. Give it to your father with the compliments of Kleberger's haberdashery."
Mighty darn funny.
Oh, I see nothing strange about it.
Why should Klebergers make you a present of a hat?
I'm a customer of long standing. Making me a present of a hat was a gesture of appreciation. Besides, I stopped by yesterday and paid my bill.
Oh, you were in there yesterday,
Well, sure I was in there yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Something in your tone of voice, Sadie, suggests that my stepping into a furnishing store to pay my bill constitutes a hideous crime.
How much was your bill?
$2.
Klebergers were so grateful to you for paying them their $2 that they give you an $8 hat, huh?
I never seen such a suspicious person. Klebergers know that I like wide-brimmed hats. Also, they know my wife has never permitted me to buy a wide-brimmed hat. So, doggone it, they give me a wide-brimmed hat. Like I say, I've spent a good deal of money in their store during the last 7 years.
Quit looking at me.
What you laughing so foolish about? Why is the back of your neck getting all red?
Well, everybody acts guilty when they're accused of something. I'm not in cahoots with Gov. I told the absolute truth.
I see no reason to doubt the lad.
Your father slip you a quarter?
He slipped me a quarter, but that was
he
for...
did slip you a quarter.
That was for going down to the jewelry store and getting his watch.
Oh.
The point is, kiddo, Klebergers felt that it'd be a smart stroke of policy.
I'll tell you what the point is. In the last couple of years, you've tried stunt after stunt after stunt, attempting to get a wide-brimmed hat for yourself. You've had wide-brimmed hats sent out on approval. You've doctored up stories where you won wide-brimmed hats on a bet. You've even come home here with wide-brimmed hats you claimed you took the wrong hat off on the hook in the restaurant and some other man got yours. I've forgot 100 of the schemes you've tried. Is it any wonder I'm suspicious when you plank a wide-brimmed hat on the library table and say, Klebergers give it to you for paying a little dinky $2 debt?
I'm afraid you're determined to make a
I'll say I'm determined. Vic, you can't wear wide-brimmed hats. They make you look like a peeled onion.
Rush, my boy.
Uh-huh.
Hand me that hat.
Okay.
I'll place it on my head, and then ask you and your mother to take the roles of unprejudiced judges and say whether or not I look like a peeled onion.
Mom's still looking at me peculiar.
If you are innocent at heart, you needn't quail from the stares of your tormentor.
I'm not in any conspiracy with Gov.
Aren't you?
No.
Look at you laugh.
Well, anybody laugh. Human nature.
Uh-huh.
My hat is on my head, Sade. Do I look like a peeled onion?
Yes.
Oh, you say that automatically. I'm convinced that this is a very becoming lid.
What'd you pay for it?
$8. And it's worth... I didn't pay anything for it. The price is $8.
Your tongue kind of slipped on you, didn't it?
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Oh, it's more than ridiculous. It's childish.
Step to the telephone. Call Klebergers. Inquire if one of their clerks didn't stop Rush and give him a hat to take home to his father.
That's absolutely number one truth, Mom. Cross my heart and hope to die, eat a banana and holler hi.
I'm not doubting you, Willie.
No?
Not anymore. I'm satisfied you told exactly what happened. Kleberger's clerk did buttonhole you. You were given that funny hat to bring home. You were just the cat's paw in this scheme.
What's this now?
I was wrong about you and Rush being in cahoots. A couple of being in cahoots. Between you and Kleberger's clerk, yes. Take off that awful hat. Makes you look like a peeled onion.
Dropping for the moment this infantile controversy about whether or not Kleberger give me a free hat, let me read you a piece I clipped out of the paper. I have it here in my pocket.
I'm glad you finally decided I was innocent, Mom. Heck, I couldn't tell stories to you and get away with it. You appreciate
May I have
it.
your attention, Sade?
That thing perched up on your head makes you look like a cowboy from the Wild West show.
May I have your attention, please? Wide-brimmed hats to be popular this summer. Albert Breep, well-known Belvedere, Illinois man about town, announced at a meeting of haberdashers in Galena that there is a distinct trend toward broad brims in men's headwear. Mr. Breep is a close student of style trends, and his opinions are highly respected throughout the Middle West. So you see, everybody's going to look like a peeled onion. Everybody's going to wear wide-brimmed hats this summer.
You look like a peeled onion right now.
Smelly Clark's Uncle Strap loves to
I
reminisce.
happen to have another clipping on this same subject.
Huh?
Listen to this. Gloria Golden, glamorous star of talking pictures, admires men who wear hats with generous brims. Broad brims give character to the face, she told reporters recently.
Hi-de-hi.
And still another clipping I have here for you to hear.
Lots of clippings.
K.Z. Glabbers, who resides in the southwestern part of eastern North Dakota, announces that the men in his section of the country are adopting wide-brimmed hats almost universally. Wide-brimmed hats, says Mr. Glabbers, are fashionable as well as useful. They provide fine sunshades in addition to being smart and swanky. So, you see?
When did you cut all that stuff out of the paper?
This morning.
Really? Quite a coincidence.
What's quite a coincidence?
Quite a coincidence that you cut pieces out of the newspaper about wide-brimmed hats in the morning, and Kleberger's store makes you a present of a wide-brimmed hat in the afternoon.
Sadie, if I had your suspicious nature...
Never mind my suspicious nature. I've added up 2 and 2 at last and got 4.
And what exactly do you mean by that, pray?
You fixed it up with the Kleberger clerk to stop Rush when he went past the store today.
Really?
Yesterday, when you paid your bill, you bought that crazy hat. You told the fella to stand in the doorway at 3 o'clock this afternoon and your son had come by. You told him to buttonhole your son and give him the hat. You told him to tell your son to tell his mother the hat was a gift from Kleberger.
That's rich, Sid. That is rich.
I heard you making arrangements with Willie at noon. What were those arrangements again, Rush?
Gov told me to go to the jewelry store and pick up his watch.
Jewelry stores on Center Street. You knew you'd have to pass Kleberger's.
By George, talk about your far-fetched yours.
Wasn't something said about the time?
Gov told me to show up at the jewelry store at 3 o'clock on the dot.
Well, why'd he insist it had to be 3 o'clock on the dot?
Darned if I know.
I like stuff done systematic, Sade.
You simply told Kleberger's clerk to be standing in his doorway at 3 o'clock. Your son had come past.
You think you'll ever get me to admit any such a feeble-minded scheme?
Feeble-minded is right. I never heard of anything so transparent. After the bushels and bushels and bushels of stunts you pulled off trying to get yourself a wide-brimmed hat, did you think I'd be fooled by this one? Kleberger's give you an $8 hat because they're grateful to you for paying a $2 debt. And then flashing them newspaper clippings on me. I guess it was a pretty good trick where you had the fella buttonhole Rush and all, but it just wasn't good enough.
I have nothing to say.
The hat'll have to go back.
Will it?
Yes, the hat'll have to go back. We should take it off. Makes you look like a peeled onion.
Which concludes another brief interlude. The small house halfway up the next block. Well, sir, the evening meal has been over only a little while as we join our friends at the small house halfway up in the next block now. And here on the back porch steps we find Sade and young Rush. Mother and son have been idly chatting and enjoying an occasional cool breeze. And at this moment, Vic emerges from the kitchen.
Hey, Di.
Hi. You been talking on the telephone all this time?
Yep. How's the temperature out here?
Much cooler than inside. We just about roasted while we were doing the dishes.
Plenty warm in that doggone living room. How about shoving over, Gordon Rake?
Okay.
Papa would love to sit down.
Huh?
It was Hank Gutstop on the phone, Sade.
Certainly must have had plenty to say. You've been chewing the rag half an hour.
Hank, I'm happy to report, has a job.
Making homemade candy and selling it?
He has a regular job.
What doing?
Publicizing, advertising, and generally promoting the interests of the Royal Throne 25-cent barbershop.
Oh, my.
An inflection in your voice, kiddo, suggests that your reaction to Hank's success is of a deprecatory nature.
I don't care what he does.
Well, I do. I'm the Exalted Big Dipper, the sacred stars of the Milky Way, and he's the Exalted Little Dipper. I feel protective toward Hank.
Well, if he's got a job at last, maybe he'll pay you what he owes you.
Very likely he will.
What's the debt amount to now?
I'm not exactly certain. Hank, however, has kept track to the sum.
He's no barber, is he, Gus?
He wasn't hired in the capacity of barber.
Gonna sweep out the shop and stuff, huh?
Sweeping out the shop and stuff will comprise part of his duties, yes. But Hank's real value to the Royal Throne 25-cent barber shop, though, will be his efforts toward enlarging and extending the business. Over the telephone just now, he was full of enthusiasm and energy. He's got ideas by the bushel. Free lunch, for instance.
Free lunch?
Free lunch.
That's a new angle for a barber shop.
Hank is bursting with new angles.
Guy steps in for a haircut, huh, and helps himself to crackers and cheese?
Precisely.
Pretty slick.
I agree.
I'll have a shoe shine, a bath, a shampoo, and a bologna sandwich.
Have your fun, friends. I prophesy for Hank Gutstop a brilliant future.
That establishment is so seedy, Vic.
Hank has plans for improving its appearance.
You have to walk down cellar, don't you?
The term is English basement.
Well, it's down cellar as far as I'm concerned. You walk down a flight of steps, and it looks a kind of halfway dirty and dingy when a person goes past. Every time I happen to be by there, I glance down and generally see some man's feet sticking out.
Those are Ed Harvey's feet. He's the owner. And he's always sleeping in one of the barber chairs. Tennis shoes?
Yeah, tennis shoes.
Ed Harvey's feet. Ed lives in the Royal Throne barber shop.
Yeah?
Sure. Sleeps in the barber chair and takes his meals around the corner.
Hank Gutstop also plans to live there.
Really?
So he informed me.
Well, there's room for him. They got 2 barber chairs.
Uh-huh. Let me tell you another idea of his. Every customer gets his 50th haircut free of charge.
Hey.
That's an inducement to patronize the shop, wouldn't you say?
Sure.
Sade, Ed Hulvey hired Hank with this thought primarily in mind. Hank's got lots of friends around town. He knows all the guys that loaf around the Lazy Hours pool hall, and he's chummy with most of the fellas that hang out at the Bright Kentucky Hotel. When they hear of Hank's new association, they'll flock to the Royal Throne in droves.
Oh.
And in addition to that, Ed Hulvey expects to capitalize on Hank's position in the lodge. As the Exalted Little Dipper of the Drowsy Venus Chapter of the sacred stars of the Milky Way, Hank should be able to swing plenty of shaves and haircuts over to Ed.
Will he swing you?
Well, no, he won't swing me. Jim Scooter down at the Butler House has cut my hair for years, and Jim's also in the lodge. Wouldn't be fair to Jim to change over.
Gov, I've been thinking about that 50th haircut free, and there's a catch.
How so?
Well, how often do most fellas get their haircut?
Oh, every 3 weeks.
Yeah, every 3 weeks. Well, heck, there's 52 weeks in a year. How many times does 3 go into 52?
17 and a little over.
Well, say a fella gets his hair cut 17 times a year.
All right.
What's the result when you divide 50 by 17?
3.
Okay, 3.
Well, what's your point?
A guy has to patronize the Royal Throne barbershop 3 years before he's entitled to a free haircut.
Well, so what? I patronized the Butler House Hotel barbershop 8 years and haven't got any free haircut.
No, but just the same.
Yep, I predict for Hank a brilliant future. He's in something solid at last. Something he can grab a hold of and work with.
Mr. Sludge, you're going to bed early?
Huh?
He just now turned his light off. Poor fella. He come home crying again today.
What is the trouble?
He wouldn't tell, Miss Harris. I expect somebody down at work spoke rude to him or something.
Come, if with every 50th haircut the Royal Throne barbershop give away a bath free, it'd be a pretty dirty bunch of customers that depended on that free bath every 3 years, wouldn't it?
Your speech, my boy, lacks clarity. I make no meaning out of it.
Well, say, for instance, I wait till I've had 50 haircuts before I took a bath. And the royal...
Never mind. I'm afraid I wouldn't be interested in the matter even after it was elaborately explained.
Okay.
Feel that nice breeze.
Most refreshing.
I like to bake this afternoon. And in the shade all the time, too. How warm was it? Anybody know?
84 degrees by the drugstore thermometer.
Boy.
You people talking about heat, Gov. I'll tell you where it's hot.
Where?
Royal Throne 25-cent barber shop. No fresh air can get down that hole. It's like being in a gunny sack.
When were you there?
Oh, a couple days ago.
I don't think I want you hanging around any such a seedy establishment.
I was in the Society of Leroy Snow. Leroy was passing bills. We stopped in at all the downtown establishments. By George, it was close in that barber shop. Ed Harvey was asleep in one of the barber chairs, and he looked like he was about to melt.
Hank's going to start sleeping in a barber chair,
A barber chair is very comfortable.
What a way to live.
It's an economical way to live.
Sure. Won't cost him a nickel. Well, he can sleep in the barber chair for nothing, and he can get his food for nothing.
How?
Help himself to that free lunch Gov was talking about.
Free lunch in a barber shop.
The idea was a stroke of genius on Hank's part.
Ish.
By George, that is a good job, come to think of it. In addition to a free place to sleep and free food, Hank will also be entitled to free shaves and haircuts. Won't he, Gov?
Couldn't say.
Sure he will. He certainly wouldn't want to patronize any competitors. Ed Harvey wouldn't stand for it. Be just the same as a guy running a restaurant and then taking his meals at a cafeteria across the street. Hank can say, Ed, put on your apron and get out your clippers, because I want a shave, a haircut, an eyebrow pluck, massage, shampoo, shoe shine, manicure, head rinse.
You're very, very funny tonight, charcoal burning.
Everybody hitting the hay early. Electric light just went off in Charlie Razorskim's bedroom.
Smelly Clark's Uncle Strap loves to reminisce over the time he went...
Telephone's ringing.
Go see, Willie.
Oh, heck, wouldn't be for me.
Well, it's not Fred and Ruthie, I know. Fred's putting in overtime at the foundry tonight. Scoot.
I expect it could possibly be Bluetooth Johnson.
Yes, or Smelly Clark, or Rooster, or Willis, or Heine, or any of a dozen of your sidekicks.
Be Bluetooth if it'd be anybody.
I had quite a little conversation with Miss Eepers today.
How's she?
All right. A little leaner than she was, I thought.
How's TJ?
I never asked after TJ. Kind of afraid to, don't you know? Since he was in jail those 4 times, a person anymore kind of hates to inquire. Might make it embarrassing. I asked after Florence, though. She's still keeping up with her piano. Practices several hours a day. Miss Eepers said she had the halfway promise of a position playing in at the main 10-cent store there in Pekin.
Yep, I'm very sanguine about Hank's new position. It's modest, of course. Pay will be small and all. But it's something solid for him at last. Something that he can get his teeth in. There's mighty good stuff in Hank. He's got a quick mind and a ready tongue. I know you don't favor him, but...
Nobody for me, was it?
No.
One of the kids.
Hank, that's that.
Is he still on the wire?
Just still, Gov. He said not to bother you. He gave me the message.
What was the message?
I quit my job.
I quit my job?
I quit my job.
Which concludes another brief interlude at the small house halfway up in the next block. Well, sir, it's late afternoon as our scene opens now, and here in the living room of the small house halfway up in the next block, we find Mr. Victor Gook and his son, Mr. Rush Gook. The gentlemen are seated on opposite sides of the library table, and a brisk rummy session is in progress.
I gather from the way your little heart-shaped face lights up, you've won a glorious victory.
3 queens, 3 jacks, and the 4, 5, 6, and 7 of hearts.
It's funny how punk players will sometimes blunder blindly along and win by a fluke.
I didn't expect any credit. All right, that's 2 games in a row for me. Your deal.
Slap over the tickets.
When you beat, you make a big speech about your superior strategy. When I beat, it's a fluke.
Very true. You played that last hand with deplorable awkwardness and complete lack of subtlety.
I won, didn't I?
By some miracle of happenstance, you did. However, a rummy expert watching your style of play would break out in a cold sweat and shed bitter tears. You were vague and uncertain about your cards. You showed not the slightest trace of finesse. If you recall the saying about the bull in the china shop, you will understand how...
Okay, deal.
Wouldn't you like me to give you a few pointers on the game?
No.
Very well. It's your loss.
Oh, shucks, gun. You're the darndest
Hi
bad.
in there.
Yo, Sadie.
You fellas missed it.
Huh?
You fellas missed it.
Oh, probably some beautifully veiled lady and greatly agitated is at the threshold pining away for your good-looking papa.
Whip out the tickets, why don't you?
Are you impatient to get defeated?
You fellas missed it.
Is there a beautiful woman heavily veiled and greatly agitated?
Mr. Donahue and Mr. Gumpox had a fight.
Really, Ma?
Mr. Donahue hit Mr. Gumpox on the nose.
When was this?
Just now, I was sitting out on the back porch steps and saw the whole business.
Why'd you holler?
I never thought of it. I was so interested in what was going on.
Heck, I like to watch a fist fight better than I like to eat.
Well, this wasn't much of a fist fight. Only one blow struck.
When Mr. Donahue hit Mr. Gumpox, huh?
Yeah. He hit him a good one, though. Right on the nose.
Draw blood?
Well, I think so. He took that bandana handkerchief off in his neck and held it over his face.
What was the difficulty?
Oh, silliest darn thing.
I bet Gumpox's half-wit horse ate Donahue's lunch again.
No, not this time.
Well, stand up, pussy.
Mr. Gumpox come along in his garbage wagon and seen Mr. and Mrs. Donahue on their back porch steps. He blew a kiss to Miss Donahue.
Oh, go on.
Oh, sure. He blew a kiss to Miss Donahue, and Mr. Donahue was infuriated. He tore out to the alley 60 miles an hour.
And pasted Mr. Gumpox one upside the snoot, huh?
Yeah.
Doggone, I wish you'd hollered.
Well, I don't think I'd have hollered even if I'd thought of hollering. It had attracted attention to myself and made us look like a bunch of nosy busybodies.
A fist fight in the alley, though, is important. Gee whiz, if a cyclone come along, you wouldn't hesitate to holler because it'd make us look like nosy busybodies.
Well, no, with a cyclone, I don't suppose I would.
What's Gumpox's idea of blowing kisses at Ma Donahue?
Well, he's been doing it for years.
Really?
Sure.
Does he love her?
Oh, he blows kisses at all the ladies up and down the alley.
He blows kisses at you?
Of course.
Why, son of a gun.
Well, I've mentioned that habit of his, haven't I?
No.
I must have.
Well,
it's been going on for years. Us ladies up and down the alley joke about it all the time.
Sure, girl. I've seen Mr. Gumpox blow kisses to ladies on 1,000 different occasions.
When he sees you on your back porch, he'll wave and show how he goes, will he?
Well, he...
It's louder than that.
guy's a regular Romeo, huh?
Oh, he don't mean anything by it. It's just being...
Gallant.
Yeah. You'll be on your back porch step, shaking out a mop or watering plants. Along will come Mr. Gumpox.
And throw me a kiss?
Yeah, sure. He only does it to be friendly and nice.
I'm greatly flattered. The garbage man threw me a kiss. Do I throw him back a kiss?
If you want to.
Do you throw him back a kiss?
Oh, of course not.
Charlie Racist Scum throws him back kisses.
Oh, yeah, he does. Just to act the fool. No, Mr. Gumpox's been doing that so long now, I kind of take it as a matter of course. The rest of the neighbor ladies are the same. Miss Harris, Miss Husher, Miss Drummond, Miss Wheeler, the whole push. Garbage wagon will come along the alley, and Mr. Gumpox will wave, and...
This pretty little custom was a surprise to friend Donahue, eh?
Well, apparently, he sure did get mad. Tore out to the alley like a bolt of lightning.
Describe what happened, Ma.
Well, I was sitting on the bottom back porch step with my sewing. Mr. and Miss Donahue were on their back porch steps, and we chatted back and forth.
I think I heard the sound of your voices while Gov and I were playing rummy.
Uh-huh. Well, before long, here come Howard up the alley pulling the garbage wagon. Mr. Gumpox was perched up on that board he uses for a seat. He saw Mr. and Miss Donahue and done what he always does when he spots a lady he knows. Yeah.
Donahue immediately sides him up as a common masher, eh?
I expect. Anyway, he certainly jumped.
Run out to the alley, grabbed Howard's reins, yanked Mr. Gumpox off in the wagon, and proceeded to
Oh,
fetch.
no, he never done all that.
What'd he do?
He motioned Mr. Gumpox to stop. Then he says, stick your chin down here. See, the board Mr. Gumpox sits on is pretty high. Mr. Donahue couldn't reach high enough to hit him.
Oh, for gosh sakes. He told him to get his chin down where he could smash it?
Yeah.
And Gumpox obliged?
Well, Gumpox never realized what Mr. Donahue had in mind. He didn't know Mr. Donahue meant to hit him on the nose.
But Gumpox did put his chin down, huh?
Sure.
Well, you'd have thought the half-wit would have divined Donahue's intention.
He didn't, though. Mr. Donahue says, stick your chin down here. Mr. Gumpox was agreeably assured. He leaned way over the side of the wagon and tilted his face just right.
And Mr. Donahue let him have it?
And Mr. Donahue let him have it.
Gosh, I wish I could have been there.
Oh, it was a real treat.
Well, what happened next?
Mr. Gumpox was stunned.
I imagine.
Completely flabbergasted. He had no idea in the world why Mr. Donahue had smashed him. He stayed in that same position, leaning over the side of the wagon, don't you know, for a long, long time. Finally, he untied his blue bandana handkerchief from around his neck, and he held it to his nose. At last he said, "Why did you hit me on the nose, sir?" Mr. Donahue says, "For being smart." Mr. Gumpox thought it over, must have been several minutes. Then he says, "And Vic, this was funny." Funny and kind of halfway touching, too.
What did you say?
Because he was all in the dark why he'd got his nose bloodied.
What'd he say, Ma?
He's Howard.
Howard?
Howard kicked Mr. Donahue.
Oh.
Yeah, Howard kicked Mr. Donahue. See, he thought the whole thing through and couldn't figure out any reason on earth why he'd been smashed in the nose. So, naturally, he wanted to return the favor. So he said, Howard kicked Mr. Donahue.
Howard do it?
No. Howard just stood there with his head hanging down by his knees and acting like he never had enough ambition to come in when it rains. And that was the end of it. Mr. Donahue went back to the house. Mr. Gumpox sat a few minutes longer on top of his garbage wagon and looked blank. Finally, he said, "Get app," and Howard strolled on up the alley. Some dandy fight, huh? I enjoyed it.
Gumpox seems to me is open to criticism for his unconventional habit of blowing kisses to the girls.
He just does it to be nice. Been blowing kisses to the ladies up and down the alley for years. Well, I'm going back out on the back porch steps where it's cool.
Okay.
You have to trot after groceries directly, Raj.
Okay, holler when you want me.
Your play here in the running game, I believe, elbow joint. I dealt.
Yeah, I'll take this 9 of diamonds.
You're foolish.
Oh, I don't know.
How does the garbage man go when he sees a lady?
He goes...
Which concludes another brief interlude to the small house halfway up in the next block. Well, sir, by Virginia Avenue standards, the hour is quite late as we enter the small house halfway up in the next block now. It's past 11 o'clock. Mr. and Mrs. Frederick Stembottom have only just departed after an evening of 500, and we find Vic and Sade tidying the living room and chatting casually before going to bed. Listen.
Salted peanuts even under the Davenport.
Oh, Fred's the guilty party. He was throwing them up in the air and catching them in his mouth. Although the trick isn't difficult, Fred's success at it was negligible. He missed 3 out of 4 times.
Fred was in jolly spirits tonight. So often, you know, he's grumpy and on edge. Real treat to have him laugh and act the fool.
What was eating Ruthie?
Why?
Something was eating her.
Did you notice it?
I felt that her giggle lacked spontaneity, and I felt that her merriment was forced.
I never thought you'd notice it. You don't generally notice such stuff.
Oh, I'm a more acute guy than you give me credit for. I'm like an Indian stalking through the forest. Nothing escapes me.
Oh, what did Ruthie do that made you think she was bothered?
Nothing at all.
Must have done something.
Well,
then where'd you get the idea?
I divined it.
Well, she laughed and chattered, same as she always does when we play cards, didn't she?
Her laughter had a fugitive, hollow quality. Her chatter lacked the true gush.
I guess you are a pretty smart fellow.
Something was eating Ruthie, eh?
Yeah.
Well, confide in old Vic Gook. Old Vic Gook will give you a crisp new $20 bill.
Well, it's nothing you'll think is important. Really, it's kind of kiddish. But, of course, Ruthie's awful kiddish to begin with. Least little old trivial thing can upset her.
Well, tell me what upset Ruthie, and I'll give you a crisp new $20 bill.
She's got secrets.
Delicious. Whisper 'em in my ear, and I promise they won't go any farther. Ike Niesuffer is always badgering me to exchange juicy morsels of gossip with him, but in this case
Well, look who's here.
Hi.
Well, haven't you been to bed?
I've been to bed, but I haven't been asleep. Read almost half of a Third Lieutenant Stanley book.
How do you account for your presence below stairs?
Come down to see if you people left any ice cream.
I doubt it. Mr. Stembottom was at the ice cream just before they went home. I expect he finished it off.
Can I go out in the kitchen and look?
Ice cream at bedtime gives nightmares.
I'll take the chance.
Plenty of salted peanuts left.
I've had all the salted peanuts I want. Took about a bushel upstairs with me.
You notice one thing about Fred? When he buys the ice cream, he always has to go check up on it before he leaves. Every time. When we buy it, he don't go eat another dish before they go home.
He probably feels entitled to any ice cream he's paid for.
I expect, but we don't do that. When we're at their house and we pay for the ice cream, you don't trot to the kitchen and finish off whatever ice cream's left.
I will next trip, by George.
Uh-huh.
I will get my share of ice cream or die.
I thought it would be. And I bet there was a half a pint in the cardboard carton.
Fred is greedy.
Well, Fred is just Fred.
Mr. Stembottom cleaned it up, Ma.
All right. You'll sleep better anyway. Refreshments at bedtime. Bring on the willies.
What was eating Ruthie tonight, kiddo?
I'm astonished you noticed any difference in her actions. You don't generally pay any attention to stuff. I hardly noticed anything myself. And I know that girl like a book.
I'm a very shrewd baboon, Sadie. I'm sensitive to the microscopic of outside impulses. My ears pick up faint sounds and my nervous system reacts to tiny stimuli. I expect
Now what you going to do?
Sit on the Davenport a minute.
Hop along upstairs.
I'm not the least bit sleepy.
You're a bad, wicked boy to worry your parents and stay up at such an unseemly hour.
Yeah.
Kindly fetch me my black snake whip. I've decided to thrash you within an inch of your life.
Okay.
Vic, how did you happen to notice Ruthie wasn't quite herself tonight?
Oh, I already told you.
She giggled and chattered and acted exactly like she always does.
Her giggle was perfunctory. Her chatter was jerky.
Yeah, that's true. Several long silences.
Well, you're going to confide in old Vic Gook, the man you love so much?
Ruthie's got secrets. They're absolutely her own business and all like that, but same time, when she keeps anything back from me, she feels guilty and troubled.
Smiley Clark's Uncle Strap dearly loves to tell about him and his
Vic,
lady friend when...
Ruthie wears glasses.
Yeah?
Ruthie wears glasses. When she bought them and how long she's had them, I don't know. But I do know she wears them. I also know that she feels miserable because she can't bring herself to tell me about it. See, we've always told each other stuff. Her glasses was one reason you noticed her actions were different this evening.
Well, how'd you find out about this?
Figured it out for myself.
Huh?
Sure.
Oh.
Easy as pie.
I was regular Philco Vance. Give her a couple of clues and she don't require any bloodhounds to track
Now listen,
down.
mister, don't you ever dare repeat anything you hear your father and mother talking about.
I wouldn't distribute confidential information.
Well, don't. Better scoot along to bed, hadn't you?
I'm enjoying my part in this discussion. Besides, I'm not sleepy.
No, but when I try to rush you out of bed in the morning, you'll scream like a panther.
Oh.
Tell me how you discovered Ruthie's secret, Dr. Sleech.
Remember tonight how she got spades mixed up with clubs and hearts mixed up with diamonds? Well, she did. About 9 times. I guess I need glasses, she said. I guess I need glasses. And then she laughed. Laughed so funny and shrill. It wasn't her laugh at all. It was a kind of halfway hysterical laugh. Well, I smelled a mouse right then. I was puzzled, don't you see? Goodness, I know Ruthie Stembottom like I know my big toe. Oh, what on earth, I thought to myself. I began to study Ruthie. I noticed what you noticed. She was uneasy and uncomfortable. Of course, she giggled and chattered away like a house afire, but there was something forced about it. And all of a sudden I saw something that spilled the beans. Something that definitely spilled the beans. People that wear glasses sometimes have a red ridge across their nose, don't they?
Yeah. Ruthie have a red ridge across her nose?
No, she didn't.
No.
Ruthie had a white ridge across her nose.
White?
Powder. You had to look close to see it. You had to look awful close to see it, but it was there. It was there, big as life. She'd carefully dabbed face powder all along the little red line you get from wearing glasses.
Sadie, I must commend you on your astute observational powers.
I couldn't be wrong about it. Now, here she's been wearing glasses on the sly for goodness knows how long. Perfectly miserable about it because she can't bring herself to let me in on the secret. Well, I got such a queer feeling when I spotted that white ridge on the bridge of her nose. I felt like going over and putting my arm around her. Boy, would she have boo-hooed if I'd done that.
No disgrace in a woman 37 years old wearing glasses.
No, but Ruthie's Ruthie.
Fred's Fred and Ruthie's Ruthie.
Exactly. All right, and here's another secret.
Better rip.
Look at that boy.
His big talk about not being sleepy was propaganda.
I'll say. Now we got the job of waking him up and getting him upstairs.
Tell me Ruthie's other secret.
Remember when they first got here and she was sitting in the easy chair? I says, "Why, Ruthie, new shoes." Remember that?
Vaguely.
She got her feet out of sight. Remember that?
I guess I was chewing the rag with Fred.
She got her feet out of sight. Acted all flustered and funny. I says, "When'd you get 'em?" "Oh, Friday, I guess," she said, and immediately changed the subject.
What significance do you attach to that?
For years and years and years, Vic, Ruthie and I have gone together to buy shoes.
Well?
This time she went by herself.
Well?
Why did she go by herself this time?
I couldn't say. Why did she?
Because she all of a sudden takes a larger size.
Really?
I'm sure of it. Positive.
Well, what's the meaning behind all
Very
this?
often, ladies, when they get along to kind of halfway middle age, start taking bigger shoes.
Do they?
Yeah. And it's happened to Ruthie. So there you are. She wears glasses on the sly, and she wears bigger shoes on the sly. And Ruthie being Ruthie, you can appreciate how she feels. No wonder she was uneasy and troubled and miserable tonight. Poor kid. Poor kid. Hey, what time is it getting to be?
Alarmingly close to midnight.
Goodness, that's hop to bed.
Splendid idea.
You want to get that child up from the Davenport?
Okay.
I'll lock the doors.
Hey, wallpaper, awaken, fire, murder, cyclone, earthquake.
Which concludes another brief interlude at the small house halfway up in the next block.